Welcome to Work Relationships Matter. I'm your host, the Edward Jones, a certified life coach who specializes in work relationships. I'm with Pro Destiny Coaching and Associates. Our motto, work relationships work for those who work on them. My guest is Roger Deach, co-founder, CEO, investment advisor, portfolio strategist at Advisor Management Group Incorporated, where their motto is putting people before profits. He is here today to share his thoughts and insights that make him a successful executive. Folks, you're going to gain a lot of information from this interview. Roger, we are so glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you, Edward, and I'm glad to be here with you.
And for our listeners, I want to let you know I have known this man for a very long time. And we went to high school together, and my goodness, since then he just exploded, and I'm so excited to have him here today. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Roger, that I know a little bit about, but I want you to elaborate on it.
Sure.
When I have these podcasts, the thing I think about, a lot of people want to know what people do. But before we get into what people do, I want people to know who they are.
Mhm.
A little bit of background, the events and people that help shape your life and get you to where you are today. So it's background. So before we get into what you do, Roger, tell us a little bit about your background and what helped you, motivated you to move in the direction that you moved in.
Yeah, well, I think I was really sort of blessed by having some incredible mentors in my life, coaches and instructors along the way that really helped set the pace for me. They were people that instilled the value of family and integrity and hard work and never lost that. And I think about them even to this day. In fact, just last month, my wife and I were sitting out in the back of the house in the shade and talking about how impactful some of the people have been that I've been associated with in my life. And I've been very fortunate that way. And I've always gravitated as a result towards people who wanted to work with me, were encouraging, helping me to move along and grow. And those were the people who I gravitated towards. And I had a natural instinct for staying away from people who wanted to block me or keep me
Hmm.
from moving in the direction that I wanted to move. And so it was mainly people, mentors, that helped me to get to where I'm at today. And I think too, the people even today in our company that are around me continue to motivate me to work hard and work hard with them and for them. So
And,
that's where a lot of it started.
and I want to talk about a little bit about your company, but you and I were student athletes together. I,
Yes,
I think we both did football, wrestling, and track,
yes, we did.
right?
Yep.
So you and I spent a lot of time together.
Oh,
So,
we did. Yes.
so tell me how sports helped shape you.
It was huge. I had, it's really interesting looking back on it. I had, I'm going to drop a few names, but I had a track coach by the name of Jay Rhodes, a head
Mhm.
track coach by the name of Dwayne Dietz, not spelled the same as mine, and not a
Right.
relative of mine, that were very impactful. And then even in Jay Rhodes and not only football, but also in track and field. Myron Smith in college was another one, and I can go through name and name and just name after name. And what was interesting is I always felt like they were coaching me a sport, teaching me a sport, but coaching me to be a man. And so I always felt that they had my interest at hand. They modeled for me. They were great models to follow, mentors uh, early on in my life, and that had a huge impact moving along the line of the road of life, I guess you might say.
Hmm. Well,
So
great.
yeah, it was really something, and even I remember wrestling in the high school sectional championships, and there was a coach when I walked off the mat at Winona State University, in the head wrestling coach, and he grabbed me when I came off the mat and told me who he was, and asked me to come and visit his school. And that impacted me. I was in shock, to be perfectly honest with you. And ultimately went and visited that school, and went to that school at Winona State University in Winona, Minnesota.
And is that how you ended up there? Is that the catalyst that got you there?
That really was. And then what was really interesting also was there was a coach there that was the football coach who knew Homer Musgrove, who was the athletic director at Sterling Township High School. And they knew one another. And his name was Moon Molinary. His nickname was Moon, and his last name was Molinary. And so Moon found out that I came up to Winona State to visit, and he ended up calling back and talking with Homer Musgrove. And he came to me, he says, "Oh my God." He said, "If you played football down there for Sterling, I know Homer, I talked to him about you. You need to play football for me." And so, I sort of got double whammied on my trip to Winona State University. And of course, by both of them. And then Myron Smith, he also was familiar with Homer Musgrove. So the people around me that were mentoring me at that crucial stage in my life were all people that were interconnected and knew one another. And I didn't even know that until in later years. And then I found that out, which I thought was just, when you think about it, it's just amazing. But these people,
how important networking is.
Yes. Oh, the impact they had on me. And they were, they're the kind of people who wanted you to be a better person. Mm-hmm. And that's who I had. Myron Smith was just incredible.
So how have those lessons from athletics transferred to your life?
Well, for me, my integrity, my word and my integrity and my are the most important things in my life. Mm-hmm. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I have a cliche, and that I have raised my own kids by, and that is, say what you mean, and then do what you say, and that's been a model of mine, and so I saw people doing what they would tell me they were going to do. If there was a practice at a particular time, they expected me to be there before that particular time. And they always held that practice. There wasn't, "Oh, wait, I got to change. It's not going to be now. It's going to be it was like clockwork." And you learned that, if you're going to have a meeting, you're going to have a meeting. If you're going to go somewhere, you're going to go. You do what you say. And those things are really important today, because with the employees that we have, that during the tax season, when we have part-time employees, we run between right near 35 employees. And it's really important for them to understand and realize that, what I say we're going to do, I am going to do it. And there's no changing of my mind or going backwards on it. So it's really important to build that integrity, build those values, and build those relationships. As a result of being modeled to me, I've been able to model a lot of that going forward too. So
right. Now let me ask you this: when you have your career in financial, and it's funny, we talked a lot about sports, but we didn't really talk about careers when we were together. No. So it's a whole different world now as we look back, because that sports thing is so far behind us now.
Yeah.
But you're very successful in the financial industry. Did you choose that career, or did it choose you?
Well, you know what? That's it's sort of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, sort of. And to be perfectly honest with you, uh, at the end of the day, it was the choices I made that led me here.
Okay.
And what I mean by that was when I went to college, in fact, in high school, I had a very, very impactful class with a teacher who taught economics. And
Hmm.
it was an intro to economics type class in high school. And I only had that one class, but it triggered something in me. And so when I got done with high school and went to college, I was interested in that field. And of course, that was in the behavioral sciences.
Right.
Well, little did I know that, in the late 70s, early 80s, uh, we would be hearing about Nobel Prize winners who wrote about behavioral finance.
Hmm.
And here I am with a degree in the behavioral sciences. And all of a sudden, I found myself, and of course, I started investing when I was 21, 22 years of age, putting money into the market, going through a broker and doing those kinds of things. And all of a sudden, I get in my late 20s and pushing 30s, and this behavioral finance thing is coming up. I'm teaching advanced economics uh, at the high school where I was teaching for potential college entry students. And I ended up just loving economics. And I taught also, however, not only economics, but psychology, sociology, history, uh, geography. So it was pulling all those things together. All of a sudden, I found myself in a place where I was incredibly equipped to move into a field of behavioral finance. And so that really led me down that road. And I had a lot of people because of my background in economics and the businesses. I also started businesses from several businesses from scratch and bought and sold them and made a little bit of money here and there doing that. But I learned a lot about entrepreneurship and starting a business and the things that you need to do, and that allowed me to be able to get where I am. And of course, the finance world was getting into finance is a whole different ballgame. I mean, I went in to finance through the insurance industry, through the mutual fund industry, and the brokerage industry, and all of which had their purposes and their places. But the big thing that lacked for me in those industries was the ability to work with people on a continuous basis, having the interest in ongoing consulting and advising as opposed to point of sale product sales.
But
And
let me interrupt you, Roger, because you have so many golden items here that I just want to take off on, and that is that there are a lot of people who are in behavioral sciences, social sciences.
mhm.
They don't think about business as a way to go, and a lot of times you don't always put them together. But you did that. You talked about investing at 21 years old. So, what were the kinds of things that got you interested in investing in the first place, since you were not a finance major
No,
or a business major,
no,
but you ended up doing that as a work, I guess it is. But so I'm looking at your education versus your practice. How did
yes,
those two things come together?
yes. Well, I taught in the econ class that I taught. We
Mm.
in economics, you're talking about business. You're
Mhm.
talking about and that leads to stocks and it leads to bonds and
Okay.
how businesses are funded. And I actually did a pretty large section on investing and that sort of thing and how all that plays into our macro and microeconomics. And so that was a big part of it. And the students really loved that part of it because we would do mock portfolios and mock investments and look at companies and et cetera, et cetera. And that was because I had an interest in it as well. And I just love the field of economics. Today, if I hadn't gotten to the age where I didn't want to go back and hadn't gotten into business so deep, I'd have been back working on probably a PhD in economics, because that's how much I loved the economics part of the social sciences, the behavioral sciences. But all the other things played into that. They sort of came together, and just the tough part was how I felt about people compared to working corporately, working for corporations on end of sale products. And that just wasn't me. That didn't fit me, which it was very discouraging to be interested in finance, but not doing it in a way that worked for me and my values. And my values have to come from the perspective of helping people to get to where they want to go. And doing that and thinking that through and pursuing it, we came to the conclusion that like a waiter or a waitress at a fine dining restaurant, lots of times the reward that they get is going to be dependent upon the how well they wait on your table. And when people can identify a really, really good job done in a fine dining restaurant, and I know that I can, and when that happens, I reward that pretty heftily. And that's sort of how I look at where I wanted to be. I wanted to be able to provide a service and have it be recognized that it would create and be of value to the people I'm visiting with. And so that's how it started. And that's where the profit before people came from, because from my perspective, profit is a consequence of something, not the goal. The goal should be taking care of business for other people, and the consequence will be the reward. So the consequence to the waitress that waited on a table at a fine dining restaurant, the consequence of that behavior is a hefty reward, a very nice tip at the end of the dinner. And that's sort of how I viewed what we were doing. And then I always talk too about consistency of character. And I think one of the things that my coaches instilled in me from high school, from junior high school all the way through college, was the importance of that consistency. And what I mean by that is, you can't be that waiter or waitress, and I'm using that metaphorically, of course, but you can't be that waiter or waitress and wait on my table and be a really nice, pleasant person to converse with in terms of going through your dining experience, and then go home at night and be punching your children or your wife. That's not consistent character. Or mistreating a neighbor, or whatever else it could be. So these things are inconsistent. And the realizations, I think you more mature into some of this, and some of these realizations that there's inconsistencies out there, and you have to self-examine and get there yourself first, especially if you're going to be leading other people. You have to.
I'm going to interrupt you right here, Roger, because you just got me another nugget. When I was waiting for you to come on, your assistant, Sarah, helped set everything up.
Yes.
And what I'm looking at, as a coach, I look at the personality of an organization. And that is reflected from the leader.
Yeah.
And I when I went on LinkedIn, looked at your operation, looked at all the smiling faces, then I saw Sarah and we had a nice little conversation.
Yeah.
Because she was a very, very friendly person. And I think that the atmosphere is set by the leader. So you talk about the consistency, you talk about service. How do you, and obviously part of it is hiring because you got to hire the right people, but how do you maintain that? Because taxes is a very, very, very strict thing. You got certain things you got to do. There's not a lot of alternative options. It's like, this
No,
is what
that's right.
people say, you got to do it, and you got to be there, and the things have to be in at a certain time. So there's pressure there.
Mhm.
But I think about from your operation, just a little bit of sample I've got, I really feel positive energy in your organization. How do you create and maintain that?
Yeah, believe it or not, there's been a lot of money spent on a lot of coaching and a lot of time, uh,
Okay.
and doing it out of respect. I think it's one of the most important things you can do is respect others as an equal or more important person,
Okay. Hmm.
and that's here. Uh, you know, nobody refers to me as a boss.
Hmm.
I would be shocked if they did. Um, I always try to lift them and let them know that uh, I need them. I need them to be here, and I need them to work hard, and I want them to be successful, and I want them to share in the reward. And so, you can't talk those ways and not back them up. And that's why we have an employee stock ownership plan. So our employees own a big chunk of this company. I sold that into an employee stock ownership program for them to actually own and benefit from everything we all work to do. And I think they're excited about it, to be part of that. But teaching respect for one another and value one another for what they do, irregardless of where they're at, is really, really important. In fact, it's the most important thing. And you need to be communicating that to them. People need to hear, Sarah came in here and I asked her if she could set this up for me. She said, absolutely. She came in
Hmm.
here and set it up. And I'm glad she did, because guess what? I don't
Hmm.
even know where to start. And so she set this meeting up. And you know what? She is more than happy to do it. But
Hmm.
the other things that we do is, like I said, you have to take care of them. So we have a 25% profit sharing plan. So
Okay.
the consequence of their behavior, if whatever that reaps, if it reaps enough over and above the essential costs of running the company, then that gets shared back, not only in the employee stock ownership plan, but also in their 401k and their
Mm.
and profit sharing, their other profit sharing, and up to 25% of salary. And then we have very, very liberal scheduling for especially young parents and young
Mhm.
mothers and fathers, so that they have the time to be able to do what they need to do to take care of and raise those young children, whether that be work at home or from home, and or actually needing time off. We have a very liberal schedule that way, and I think that's how people know that you're authentic
Mhm.
and
Wow.
and genuine about caring for, because if you have that towards a client and you don't have it towards an employee, there's an inconsistency.
Mhm.
And if you have that towards the employees and then you have that towards a client and then you don't have it at home, there's inconsistencies. And I really believe that that's hugely important, to have that, to live your life in such a genuine, authentic, and filled with integrity and values way, that it's consistent across every aspect of your life. And that's what's important for me. And that's
Roger, I am so inspired by everything that you're saying. It's like, oh my God. We had, oh my, it's just amazing. If we had these conversations in high school, just imagine, but you have so much wisdom, compassion, empathy, all the things that are needed in an organization. It's unfortunate that you're not out there on the speaking circuit doing
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
But, time goes by fast. But everything is great. This is the question I ask everybody. What are the obstacles that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Well, the obstacles that I faced were the unbelievers,
Okay.
and what I mean by that, the people that didn't believe that you could uh, make a company run with uh, profit as a consequence. And there's a lot of people going to doubt that that's possible. But I see it every day. There are other companies out there that maybe not a lot of us, but there are. And I view the restaurant business to me is part of that. I mean, especially in the employees that they have, they're trying to please people all the time, not knowing what the end of the day is going to look like. And there's a part of blind faith involved in all of that. But the biggest obstacle is finding the people that will believe, and then will play their roles, and not play their roles, fulfill their roles, and work to become better, which we incentivize people to become better, to go to school, to get further education, to get other certifications. And so we encourage those things, and that's all part of it as well. But the biggest obstacle is finding the right people, getting the right people, and because you're going to have people come in and they have ideas, and you need to listen to them and see how they can work. The worst thing you can do is not entertain those ideas and discuss them. And we work a lot as a team. We do a lot of team building stuff here at the company. We have summer get-togethers. There's a lot of companies that don't have, their holiday parties anymore. We maintain our holiday parties, and we have potluck lunches during the week, and they'll take turns on who's bringing that in. And we try to keep the water clear, if you know what I mean. And we don't want poo in the water, and that right. Let's be mature enough to talk to one another about our differences, and not be talking to other people and doing these kinds of things. So the obstacles are keeping the water clear, keeping the lines of communications clean and clear, and that's where it really is important. And the obstacles that we've faced have been along those lines mainly.
And that's great. And Roger, we're already at 28 minutes. Going by so fast. Tell us a little bit about it. People want to know more about your company. Tell us about that and how they might be able to contact you and learn more about your operation.
Sure. Well, our company, we do taxes, individual and corporately, and we do small business consulting and taxes. We help people to, especially people who are wanting to buy a company or wanting to sell a company. We try to help them go through that process. We try to give them all the business information we can. We have people here on staff that work on that diligently. And then we have our certified financial planners. We have our people with their business degrees, and then myself and other people that are working on the portfolio side.
And how do they contact you? How would they reach you? What is the website, phone number?
Yeah. The way to contact us would be through www.advisorsmanagement.com.
Say that again.
Advisorsmanagement.com. Okay. And our phone number here would be 608-782-0200.
One more time.
608-782-0200.
And the reason that I say that is that whenever I hear something, I hear the last four numbers and say, "What was that number?" So that's why I was asking you to do it again. So sorry about that one,
No.
but that's just my thing.
No, I know what you mean.
Right. Well, Roger, it's been a pleasure. Time has gone by too fast. We definitely have to stay connected.
Yeah.
So with that, I will sign off once again. This is WRM Work Relationships Matter. I am your host, the Edward Jones, a certified life coach at Pro Destiny Coaching and Associates. Roger won't have to do this because I know the atmosphere there is great. But for you listeners, go to my website, www.prodestinycoaching.com. That's www.prodestinycoaching.com, and take our work relationship quiz. Send the information in and we'll see if there's things that we can do with you. But thank you so much, Roger. You have a great day and we will stay in touch.
You're welcome. Thank you, Edward.
And we're out.
Good. Oh, gosh.
Welcome to Work Relationships Matter. I'm your host, the Edward Jones, a certified life coach, founder of Pro Destiny Coaching and Associates. I work with organizations who do a lot of relational work. Our motto is work relationships work for those who work on them. My guest is Richard Cornelius. He is a business strategist and the president of 100 Black Men of Sacramento, but also does some work at the national level. He is here to share his thoughts and insights, which I know will be beneficial. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you very much, Edward. It's great to be here this morning.
And it's glad to have you here. And folks, we talked this weekend. Richard and I have known each other for a few years, and he has done so many wonderful things before getting into the 100 Black Men, but just doing a lot of wonderful things around the community and basically nationally. So it is a pleasure to have him here and an honor. Richard, you've been very successful at so many things. Many times people go to mixers and they see a name tag, and the first thing they do is ask, "What do you do?" I like to start out by finding out who people are, starting in the beginning, the things that help shape your life that up to this point. Could be a mentor, could be an event, whatever it might be. But before we talk about what you do, Richard, we want to know who you are. So give us a little bit of background.
Certainly. I want to start off with, in the Bible, it states God fathers the fatherless. Although obviously I had a father, but he wasn't around a lot. I had some periods of absent parents, but God sent caretakers, very special people, good people, Christian people to raise me and instill in me those things that would help me to be successful in life. I also had an experience with a variety of jobs coming up as a youth and early in my adulthood. Education was key. I got my bachelor's in computerized accounting and business administration. Went on to work with the state of California for 27 years. Through that, had my family and retired now. I'm a starter marshal at a local golf course, president locally of the 100 Black Men of Sacramento, and part of the Office of Strategy Management at the 100 Black Men of America. I've also started my own consulting company, Cornelius Strategies for Business and Life, and I'm also a caretaker with my almost 91-year-old mother-in-law.
And you are, if I understand correctly, you're retired.
Correct. I retired December 2018 and have been able to be fully involved in the community and in establishing my consulting firm and actually working, helping, and guiding individuals through those processes.
And the thing I say is that when I say you're retired, now folks, listen, this guy is busier than most people are who are working full time. And so that's the thing that we want to be clear. This man, he may be retired from a job at the state, but he is definitely not retired. He is definitely giving back to the community, which is wonderful. Now, you really are, as you say, a strategist. So is that, would you say that's your calling, and how did that come about?
You know, whether I chose my career or it chose me, as I said, my degree was in computerized accounting and business administration. And for my state job, to be able to find that job, I actually went into the EDD office on Broadway here in Sacramento.
Mhm.
This is the time before computers were really out there in these types of facilities, and they had binders, lots of binders on the wall. I went through many binders that day. One binder, there was one page that said, 1 day acceptance of applications for auditor for the state of California. I went ahead and followed up with that. And as you know, I've retired after nearly 28 years. This allowed me to acquire expertise and add to my toolkit in the areas of TQM, otherwise known as total quality management and management
Mhm.
philosophy, strategic planning using the Balance Scorecard methodology, and in performance measurement systems, so that you can have all the dreams and ideas and goals, but unless you measure and know how you're doing and how you're moving towards your targets, that's definitely needed and is a big part of performance measurements.
That's great. And I remember way back, I used to look at the balance scorecard and all those things, and I've kind of gotten away from it. So can you enlighten us on what that is in case our listeners aren't familiar?
Yes, the Balance Scorecard takes all of the previous management philosophies, management by objectives, total quality management, all the others before that, and puts it into a balanced, holistic, balanced perspective. What that means is when you develop your priorities, when you do your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis, you do this through 4 perspectives. That is, first perspective is the customer perspective. What is it that the customer expects? What is that value proposition, that value that they expect? The second is the internal processes. To be able to provide that value, you must excel at those internal processes. That's your boots on the ground and what, interacting actually with your customers. The third area is the learning and growth, also known as the workforce environment. Ensure that you have the morale, you have the training, the equipment, you're able to hire, and the fourth perspective is the financial. And this was traditionally what organizations looked at and forego for the people, the processes, the customers. So again, the Balance Scorecard is that balanced, holistic approach to your organization, looking at it from all angles to work towards being a strategy focused organization.
Well, that sounds good. Now you've took this to the 100 Black Men as a consultant and then became the CEO. So what was that transformation process, and how did it all come about?
I was asked to, and let me just add, the Balance Scorecard is a management system, a communication tool, and a measurement system. I was
Okay.
asked by the past president to come in and work with the 100 Black Men of Sacramento and developing their strategic plan. This was in 2019, right after I retired.
Mhm.
That process, again, I guided and gathered information from the organization and was able to produce for them a strategy map, 1-page document that described their mission, vision, core values, and those strategic objectives.
Mhm.
This effort landed me on a trip to Jacksonville, Florida, for a national leadership conference. And on that first day, I was able to meet the chairman, the vice chairman. I didn't know who I was talking with, but I had brought a couple copies of the documents that were put together for the Sacramento organization and shared those. And by noon of that day, they wanted me to be on the national strategic planning team. Since then, I've worked at, both at the local and the national level with the team. And we have the strategy map at the national level has gone out to 103 locations. There's 103 chapters within the 100 Black Men of America. And it's an ongoing effort. It has been instituted, and the Office of Strategy Management has been put in place at the national level.
That is excellent. Now, what did you say to that national person that got you on that board? Because you had to say something that was profound to move to somebody who was just there at the conference to someone who ended up in leadership.
Essentially by thinking ahead and bringing those documents, and of course with what's in my head and ability to speak, and being outgoing and extrovert, I guess. I said, hey, this is what we're doing in Sacramento. And in sharing that, I did not realize at the same time at the national that they were on the same track, doing the exact same things that I was doing with the local. They had a national strategic planning company had put up, did all the interviews and had the findings and that. So the chairman liked the one-page document, the strategy map, and the scorecard, which the scorecard expands on the strategy map and includes those measures and targets and initiatives. And in looking at this on a quarterly basis through quality review or strategy review meetings, you're able to make adjustments in time before it's too late to those priorities that you have. So in essence, in a nutshell, bringing the documents, speaking from my heart, and it was connected and parallel at the same time with what was going on at the national, but we didn't know that. I didn't know that at the local level. So it really worked out.
So for those who are not familiar with 100 Black Men, you talked about the strategy, the things that they are doing. Talk a little bit about more what 100 Black Men is all about.
The 100 Black Men was founded in 1963. The late Mayor David Dinkins, Jackie Robinson, first Black baseball player in the leagues and came from the Negro Leagues, and 98 other Black men started what was called, because of those 100 men, the 100 Black Men. The focus is on mentoring, health and wellness, economic empowerment, and education. Again, there's 103 chapters throughout the world. There's a London chapter, there's a Caicos Turks in the Caribbean, and the rest are spread out throughout the United States. So very involved at the national level. Our chairman is deals with people at the White House. So it's a great organization to be part of. Great things, the largest Black mentoring organization in the world.
And it's so inspiring. And folks, you're going to get a chance to get some information about how to get connected with 100 Black Men at the end of this session. So if you're excited as I am, you're going to want to know more about it and how to contact Richard and get involved if that's what you like to do. But it's wonderful things that they are doing. Now, back to you, Richard. The things that you are doing show that you're a leader. When did you become a leader? Do you think that's the appropriate label for what you do as a leader?
I think that's appropriate. I work to guide people through processes, the tools and methodologies. But when I was 9, it was either 9 or 10, I lived in Washington State in the Seattle area, and had went on a camping trip with, was part of the Awana Club and Christian sports-oriented boys club. My stepfather at the time and a number of other kids, boys and dads went out on a camping trip. Wenatchee Forest, it was snow on the ground, it was cold. I realized that being, a young person there, no one else was getting up to light that fire in the morning, and we needed that fire. So I got up and was able to get that fire going and kind of get everyone up and lead the morning activities. So again, it was freezing cold, but that was one experience. At 18, though, I was part of the CETA program, and Ronald Reagan was about to cut the program out. There was fellow classmates who had gone through a number of sessions who basically were told that it was not going to go through for us. I helped to lead a strike, protest or a march or show of that we wanted, and our education was important to us. And through that effort, we all prevailed, and that was part of my ability to get into college and to be, start on that route. So we were successful in that. So those were some of my initial early couple examples of my leadership traits and activities.
Right. So it's like you see what needs to be done and then make sure that it gets done.
Correct. If there's, what you see is what you will be, is a mantra for the 100 Black men. And in general, if there's a need, how do we address that? How do we make things better? How do we help people?
So when you look at all the people that you're working with, strategizing, leading, helping to guide, what would you say is your leadership style?
One is to listen. In my methodologies, I type almost 75 words a minute, and I capture the information of session participants in doing a SWOT analysis and doing a cause and effect analysis, but I'll capture that information at the same time. So my listening and being intent to learn about that organization, learn about the people maybe that are working for you is key. Building trust, communicating expectations, and allowing for adjustments in style, and know that everyone is different and brings different things to the table. Most importantly, recognizing and celebrating accomplishments, make those personal, get to know what motivates people. And lastly, creating a team environment that is safe, nurturing, allows for growth, leadership, and inspiring others.
That's very good. Now, the one thing I think that you talk about with the Balance Scorecard is measurement. And I've heard the phrase that what is measured gets done. So do you believe that, and how have you seen that become effective in terms of in organizations by measuring, I guess, progress, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, as you say, what you measure, measurement gives you results. With the 100 Black men of Sacramento, one of our, in the customer perspective, one of our objectives is to be involved and connected in the community. By doing that, we're able to have our pulse on what's going on at the moment. What's the truth of the moment? We can sit back and, think we know what's going on, but you got to get out there and talk with the people and listen. You can then bring that back into your organization, for us in our curriculum, for the youth, for our Saturday academies, as well as in talking with the parents and the community at whole. Then we're able to actually provide what is truly needed.
Now, the Urban League has an index that deals with economics, health, a bunch of different things. Kevin Johnson used to do a thing called Individual. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin Johnson was the mayor of Sacramento. And he had this, and he showed where everything that was good, that African Americans were at the bottom, and that's with education, with finance, and all those other things. And so when we talk about measuring how we can improve in those areas, what metric did the 100 Black men use for that? And how are they connected to these other organizations like the Urban League, fraternities, the NAACP, and all those other organizations? So first, the measurement, and then how they're connected to other organizations.
Yeah, and the measurement for us relative to being involved and connected in the community is, again, how much are we in the community? How many events are we attending? Uh, how many different organizations are we meeting? How many churches are we going to? Again, how much information are we bringing back? So we quantify that and turn it into a statistical measurement. So again, we're looking at membership and building our membership. So obviously, in measuring the individuals that are coming in, how the impact is of them coming in with the youth. We do measurements with the youth specifically. We're actually looking at their grade reports, and so that's a true measure of when we start with them, where they are, and as we go through the program, how they are able to increase their grade, how the trips maybe to the principal's office goes down. So developing measurements, I think really you look at outcome based, and what are the outcomes that are going to come from the activities that you do, and measure, quantify those outcomes in order to have a measurement that you can look at on a regular basis to make adjustments. So you have leading indicators and lagging indicators. A lagging indicator, you're not going to be able to make changes. It's too late. It's already done. Leading indicators, milestones along the way, allow you to make those changes and still stay on course.
And you actually go into schools from time to time, don't you?
Pardon?
Do you go into schools?
Yes. We are at Intercom High School. We're at Natomas Middle School. And we've been talking and working with all of the Sacramento area school districts. Over the 100 Black men of Sacramento have been here since 1987. And so there have been many relationships and boards and membership prior to me that have been in the Elk Grove School District, the Sacramento City School District, San Juan, Cordova, Folsom School District. So our goal is to be like drones and be all over the city. And we teach robotics, we teach drones, we teach coding, as well as being a man, being prepared for college. So a lot of different aspects. Mentoring the 100 way, we have curriculum that is consistent, and we have members who are lots of experience that are very diverse, and this is what allows us to be to make a difference and do the work of the 100.
Right now, do you partner with the 100 Black women?
Yes, I actually have phone calls on a regular basis with Dr. Elizabeth Sherelle Davis. She is the president of the National Coalition of Black Women, the 100 Black Women of Sacramento. We are members of the Black Chamber of Commerce. So, our goal right now is to be a voice of the community, working with the community in collaboration. Recent have been working with Roberts Family Development Center, who have been around for over 20 years and have done great things in the Sacramento community. And I'm working with Maximum Reach for Economic Equity, Angela Wiggins, who is out there supporting and really pushing for businesses that traditionally have not had the resources to be able to provide those. So I'm honored to be part of that and to, again, help guide those organizations towards success.
Great, great. That is wonderful. That the collaboration, I think, is what makes it so important with that. So, and now along the way, and this is the question I ask everybody, that people do great work, but everybody runs into obstacles from time to time. So, what is the toughest situation you face, and how'd you handle it?
I'd say that working with the state and coming up and being a manager in that, very few African American staff, especially in management in the organization that I was with at the state. So that presented its own challenges, especially, at one point I had a great leader, great motivator. He was the one that asked me to become a guru in strategic planning using the Balance Scorecard. And so, and that was implemented statewide with over 500 staff. And so, a lot, as you said, the measurements and all that, we had the whole system going. Changes in leadership occur when there's retirements or rotations and that, and leaders go on. And so that is something that seemed to be a challenge. At certain points, different people coming in there, you could feel that feeling of, is it institutional racism? Is it the clique? Is it, and you feel kind of on the outside, and maybe your talents, your experience are not fully being used. And, so that can be a challenge. But, with the 100 Black Men of Sacramento, it's really motivating our volunteers. It's a volunteer organization. So motivating those members to do the work of the 100, and part of that is recruiting a younger membership. Again, that is, trying to work with the colleges, working with these fraternities and that. And I guess, all this looking to build expertise and positive relationships overall through those challenges.
Right. Now, one thing that I think about is that, because at one point, going back to the corporate world, that you were very involved, very utilized, your ability was really being utilized. And there's that thing that people call the need to be needed. And then new management comes in, and it seemed like they were kind of excluding. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yeah, I would say so. For back in, for over 17 years, I had put on our celebration of history in Black. At a certain point, as there was change in leadership and styles and that, I was actually asked to not do that. And when I asked why, basically I was chastised and given a write-up or whatever.
What was the name of the event again?
Celebration of History in Black. And
Okay.
so this during Black History Month. And we had all the leaders throughout Sacramento over the years. The late Frank Withrow, his wife had been an MC. We've had David DeLuz, so many Sacramento great people. But anyways, it was something that again was a challenge. But I did have some other individuals who were willing to take the torch, support, and I still was able to guide and push that so that it still continues to this day. I guess the one thing that I would say to your audience, and that is relative to your book, Office Politics, is that, speak up for yourself, be strong, don't let others put you down. And especially when it's not right, don't let a promotion that's, on the table, don't let other things come in to keep you from speaking up for yourself, being strong. That's what I am definitely professing and teaching to our youth now as I've retired.
Right. So it's just stay strong in your self-esteem and everything like that, and maybe even reaching out to others for support as well. because you cannot do it alone. That resilience, sometimes you just need other people to bounce off and work with. So it sounded like a really tough situation, and you did the best you could with given the environment. Because I say that when you're in dirty political waters, it's difficult as an individual. But if you have the right leadership, you can purify the water. And unfortunately, you weren't in a role to purify it, but you made the best of that situation, which I think is great.
Definitely, definitely. And meeting you, I wish I would have met you 20 years sooner, because I believe that the office politics, the right way, 7 principles to create win-win relationships in the workplace. I probably would have had more strength and know-how and direction based on your teaching. So again, it's been great to meet you, and I've been able to share that with others, so that even my daughter, so that they make the right decisions and do what's right for them.
Great. Yeah, that's true. And so I that's why I got in the first place, because of people like you who were suffering in the workplace. I was there at one point in time, and by the grace of God, I was able to work through some things and actually be able to overcome some of that. But it is really tough, especially when you feel you're in isolation.
Yes.
So that's the thing we work at. So at this point, we're coming close to the end of the time, Richard. It just goes by so quickly. So is there anything that I did not cover that you said, I really want people to know this? This will really help them as they go through their world of work, maybe even beyond that. What would that be?
I think it's very important to plan and to map out, all of those things that you want to accomplish, to write that down, put it into a format that you're able to implement and execute, have a work plan in that. Frederick Douglass stated that knowledge is power. And I believe that creating win-win relationships, and I know you do too, is key in life. And as we climb, we must lift up and help others to rise. So I had said earlier, at the 100, our mantra is what they see is what they will be. And we must always present ourselves in a business-like manner, being calm, cool, and collective. And I say suave and debonair in all our interactions. But I commend you, Mr. Edward Jones, for your inspiration as a man, and as defined in your book, Office Politics the Right Way. It is important for our people to have the proper tools to navigate the nuances that are challenging in the workplace and in our lives in general. Many blessings to you and yours.
Well, thank you so much. And what I would say to sum it up, Richard, is that you've got the technical side and the relational side working together. I know you've talked about the Balance Scorecard piece and keeping all the budget, the staffing, all that together. But the way you work with people, I think, is probably the glue that makes it all work. So kudos to you. And thank you so much for sharing some time with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very blessed.
Folks, this is WRM Work Relationships Matter. Again, I am your host, the Edward Jones, a certified life coach, founder of Pro Destiny Coaching. Our motto is work relationships work for those who work on them. If you want to learn more about Pro Destiny Coaching, go to prodestinycoaching.com. That's prodestinycoaching.com, and take the quiz and contact me and see if there's something we can talk about, the possibilities. And Richard, is there a way that we can contact you or learn more about the 100 Black Men or your strategic planning programs? What would that contact information be?
Definitely. The website for the 100 Black Men of Sacramento is www.100blackmensac, that's SAC.org. Again, it's www.100, that's the number, blackmensac.org. Or you can email me at rcornelius@100blackmensac.org. And the website for Cornelius Strategies is www.corneliusstrategies.com. Again, that's www.corneliusstrategies.com. You can email me at corneliusstrategies@gmail.com. And I can be reached directly by telephone at area code 916-870-6273.
Great, Richard. There's so much information, folks, that you can learn from this man. So please take advantage of this contact information. If you want to learn how to be strategic, if you want how to work with people, Richard Cornelius is a person who can really, really help you. So we want to make sure that you can benefit from this knowledge. So with that, I will sign off. You all have a great day.
God bless you. Thank you.
And we're out. Okay.